Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and of course, all of you co-hosts on this channel, making this an excellent Future Friday today. And I thought, because we tend to have a theme during the week, we were talking about fantasy role-playing games and about magic and going the opposite direction of discussing how magic could transform our settings and how powerful it is, but really bringing into light the idea of humanity having a much stronger influence on limiting magic, and that the machinations of a world with living people and breathing people would put limitations on that. And on Future Friday, we talk all things science fiction and science fiction role playing games, tabletop role playing games. And I thought today we would talk about technological limitations being a benefit to our role playing experience. Kind of going back a little bit, slightly to rehash one of the subjects that has come up. And I remember someone having a discussion about not wanting to play in science fiction games, or at least run science fiction games, because of the difficulty in controlling the extent of the technology that's available to the player characters and the world, and trying to keep it all juggled in their head. In a modern day context, it would be like trying to write a story, maybe a heist story or something with black ops, or a mission with government agents, and trying to keep track of what kind of access do people have to cell phones and computers and instantaneous communication with a pocket audio and visual device in their hands, and trying to keep a mystery, or not have the player characters corralled and instantly found because they can be GPS tracked very easily, and that kind of thing. So we're going to talk a bit far future than what we're talking today, but I thought we'd talk about science fiction. Now, side note, I am an armchair transhumanist. I love The Expanse, Altered Carbon, Eclipse Phase, and all things transhumanist technology. So we will be talking a little bit about cortical stacks and brain downloading, and um, self-aware AI, and maybe even uplifted animals and that kind of thing as well. All right, so limitations with technology. One of the issues about, of course, again, having lots of technology, is the technology in the hands of the players. And one of the things we can pull from intellectual properties, movies, books, television, graphic novels, and things, is that a lot of times our protagonists are put in a situation where technology up front already has a limitation. And my suggestion would be, if you're going to have a setting or a sci-fi setting of any type, to establish that limitation. Now, sometimes the limitation is built into the world. For example, hyperspace drives are very commonly have a limitation. Maybe the fuel is extremely expensive, hard to come by, it's rare. Maybe it takes a very long time to refuel a ship. Um, it's possible that navigating coordinates between star systems is very difficult, takes a long time, requires expertise. Maybe it requires a lots of crew members, etc. And so there's usually some kind of limitation. Maybe I've read books where you can only go through hyperspace and appear a very extremely long distance away, to the outer part of a solar system. So you can't just instantly appear within, a gravity well of sorts. Or there's a wormhole that might have some lots of disruption, like it could be a variable, open and close at random points, or maybe there's lots of traffic through the wormhole and you have to wait your turn. Now, with other types of technology, Star Trek does this very often because of their procedural type of show, where maybe it's not just the technology you have, but maybe it's the situation you're in. So, for example, your player characters arrive at a planet or a star system or something. Maybe there's some kind of MacGuffin style disruption, like a nebula or radiation background or solar flares, etc., that might be interfering with the technology they have, interfering with their communications, interfering with being able to beam up and down off of planets, being able to activate and deactivate their shields and engines and that kind of thing. And lastly, some circumstances just happen to happen when it's in media res. It's in the middle of something. For example, player characters arrive and they just happen to be low on fuel, or when they arrive in a particular place, maybe their ship is being worked on and being serviced, and the service isn't completed for them to jump in the ship and take off because the wheels are off and the windows are down and the battery's been disabled or something, whatever, you know what I mean. It's being sarcastic on that event. So there's a lot of ways we can pick and pull and play with limitations. And the key here is to foreshadow a lot of this stuff ahead of time. Just having a handful of, you might want to watch out for this thing because it might interfere with what you're doing is a great way to it's a great way to foreshadow it without having a mechanical effect yet, so that if you really don't need to use it, you forget it, players forget it, nobody really cares, right? But if the player characters are committing a heist, or you really want them to stay on the planet, and the first thing they want to do is book it to the ship and leave, because that's a huge problem in science fiction, right? You give the players a starship, and what they do is they throw monkey wrenches into your story, get in the ship and get the hell out of there. Having these things ahead of time, layered ahead of time, like, hey, guess what? In this world, going into hyperspace leaves a trail that people can follow, or navigating through wormholes requires a specific faction that you don't have a really good connection with, like the guild navigators, or whatever the case might be. So, yeah, hey, what's going on there, guys? All right, Mike Gould, co-host, says BattleTech does this with jump ships. Jump ships require the gravity well of stars to create navigatable planets. Excuse me. Let's start this over again, because BattleTech does this with jump ships. Jump ships require the gravity well of stars to create navigatable points. Jumping anywhere else risks dangers like being light years off target, phasing into objects, yeah, phasing through time, etc. Drop ships attached to jump ships then need to burn to planets. Exactly. And listen, you know, it's all fantasy anyway, right? So the fact that there's a limitation on it, already you're going like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, okay, maybe it's the gravity well that prevents them, or time space fluctuations and whatnot. I think I've told you guys this before. There's a book series by C.S. Friedman where the you could only navigate through fourth dimensional space with people who had psychological, what we would consider today to be psychological issues. And so you couldn't just find an average pilot. No, these pilots were specifically not trained, but they had a mental affectation to allow them to comprehend, fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional space. And so lots of things like that, whether, like you said, with BattleTech, it depends on gravity wells. It could be, today, in order for us to get to Mars, it requires specific launch sequences, or using a sling ship to go around Jupiter or the sun, or things like that. And that's just talking about traveling through space, right? So, and you could add this to power armor, blaster, any kind of weaponry. In transhumanism, We have the ability to we have a cortical stack, and a cortical stack is like a thumb drive that records all of your memories and all your feelings, and that cortical stack could that information can be beamed to another planet and then into another cortical stack, which is then downloaded and then implanted into another body and things. And that process could be extremely slow based on where you are, where your destination is, security protocols, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. Zamara says good examples of things that put limits on technology include newness. Yeah, if it's brand new, untested, experimental, has never been used in the environment you have it. So, hey, the black box that does the black box widget that does this special thing, it's never been out in the public. And, so that always, things get foobarred that way. Okay. Anyway, Zamara goes on to say oldness, like cursed items, something that's been around a long time. Star Wars was one of the first movies I saw with old technology that I loved. It's old and decrepit. Of course it might break or smoke or spark or something. Anyway, Zamara goes on to say limitation of dimensions like size and shape. Yeah. You know, a an object or device that is supposed to, let's say, a power generator. You know, a power generator that fits on your like a backpack is a lot different than one that takes up the the back fits in the back of a pickup truck and requires 5 people to move it, right? And then of course he says end purpose, a crowbar is good for breaking things, not fixing. Yeah. Good for breaking a whole lot of things, even on people. Yep, having a hammer makes every problem a nail, right? Deadman says BattleTech had rules for how long it took to recharge the Kearney Fushida jump drives, with an optional quick charge rule that allowed you to charge the drive quicker with a chance to blow the drive. And like those stories are actually kind of cool, right? Like overclocking, overcharging, the classic Star Trek, Captain, it'll take 3 days. You've got 3 hours, and it of course what that does is because those time frames were always arbitrary because it didn't exist anyway. But really, what is that attention timer, right? The PCs need to get from A to B. We have a tension timer in there. Hey, if we move faster, we could blow the engines. Grab dice, right? And then the story evolves in: do they make it? Do they not make it? Is the jump portal or navigatable jump point distant from where they are, where they have to fly in regular space to get to a specified point before they can jump? I mean, and we're just talking about star drives. When you get into weaponry, there's lots of weapons maybe you shouldn't be using in airtight habitats and in tin cans and domed cities. Maybe there's using weapons might set off alarms and sensors. Maybe people can triangulate who and where you are by using particular weaponry. What you can assign size categories to certain weaponry, like a holdout pistol is concealable, but a large Gatling gun type of assault rifle is very bulky or heavy, or just plain inconcealable in the first place. Yeah. Yeah. Michael says, now I'm thinking uh, Babylon 5 and how the shadow ships used living telepaths as engines and pilots. Gotta love a ship that is operated by like something alive. Because you can always give personalities to things, and special, blind pilots that can see in fourth dimensions, and telepathic individuals that communicate across galaxies and things like that. Yeah, those are easy to do too, because the more personality they have, the more you can manipulate player character interactions. Like, hey, we can't just jump in the ship and leave. We have to convince the pilot to get us from A to B, even though right now they're pretty happy, I don't know, using the ramjets to get the gases in the nebula or something, and it feels good to them. It's kind of like being in hot tub or whatever. Mm-mm-mm. Zamara says 40K, for as advanced as it is, has a huge limit on AI. Abominable intelligence. As soon as you make a true AI, it tries to kill all living things to protect all life. Yeah, it's like you're a virus. We got to kill you. Uh, the in-world solution was made by humans. They took the unwanted of society and turned them into the intelligence in the AIs. Servitors, yeah, servitors. Anyone? Yeah, taking real people and downloading them. Eclipse Phase kind of has that from the clanking masses. Where, long story short, Earth got Earth got ravaged. People needed to leave. A lot of people didn't have the money and resources to leave, so they made deals to leave their bodies behind, but their minds were uploaded and sent off world. Well, when they arrived on the other end, they are just digital information inside of cortical stacks. Those stacks were Many of them were put into mechanical bodies because they could be assembled very quickly. Then those people became known as the clanking masses. Um, Not much different than robots and AIs, even though they were real personalities. So a lot of human beings were treated like basically property, and still are in the eclipse phase world, especially in the inner rim, Luna, and habitats around Earth and Mars and stuff like that. Yep. Anyway, Zamara goes on to say, P.S. It doesn't matter who or what makes the AI; they all do the same thing for the same reason. Yeah, yeah. And come on, come on. That's kind of a specialty for humanity, isn't it? Treating people like property. That's a commonality, and that's not even. And I'm not even trying to make racial allusions to something like that. That's just otherisms we've pretty much specialized in the society. Yeah, and pretty easy to do when you start you take away the human body and just start like putting them in the chips and putting them in the starships and whatnot. There's a Black Mirror episode about that. Lady wanted an AI assistant, so she paid to have it done. But the show starts from the point of view of the woman who ends up waking up in a pure white room. And the Anyway, it was a torturous method of using the woman's own personality to create an AI that would be her own assistant, even though the AI assistant was her and she didn't know it. And it was pretty cool. It was very bizarre, but it was really cool. Dead Man's like the Tau Empire's AIs work pretty fine. Yeah, for them, I'm sure. And that then you get that gets into the idea of like of AI systems, right? I mean, how many times have we seen, AI equals annihilating all humanity? Well, will that really happen? We don't really know that. But in your story, if you want to limit things being done for your protagonists, and the player characters are the ones who get things done, even though we know AI might be far better suited, guess what? AIs don't operate the way we think they do. Or like in Altered Carbon, AIs have gone crazy and people stopped using them and shutting them down, but there's a couple that are still around. Or maybe AI have ascended to what they consider another plane of existence and stuff, right? So it's all that kind of thing, like, right, like where you have technology at different stages. And another limitation too, in terms of limiting player access to technology and their use of it, is cultural as well. You know, a spindle habitat, you might not be able to find a single laser pistol because it's too easy for somebody to pull the pistol out, attempt to shoot somebody else because of some domestic dispute, and then they put a hole in a ship, right? So culturally, there might be things people AI works perfectly good in one star system, doesn't work good here because we had a rebellion, so we shut it all down. We don't serve droids in here, kind of thing. So religion, experience, safety, all those things might have an impact as well. In terms of access to technology, and it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It could be extremely emotional, like maybe there's been a spree of crimes by robots, so now all the people are like, nope, we disabled all our robots. Now the player characters might be living robots, and they live in a place with robots, and then they get a coded message, and they're like, yeah, these people, they don't like robots. And it could have happened 5 weeks ago, right? Some person programmed robots to commit some heinous crimes. A serial killer decided to kill people through teleoperation of robots that were committing serial killer crimes or something. Player characters arrive, they're just like, wait, what? They don't, robots help everybody. Like, we're what? You're like, nope, you're gonna have to download into bio bodies and biomorphs and go inside or something like that, right? Mike Gould says, touching on Alien, it seems humanity has the technology to create near human androids, hypersleep drives, yep, massive starships, and terraforming worlds, but cannot medically remove an alien parasite. Oops. See also plot point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And literally starships piloted by the equivalent of truckers, blue collar workers. Hey, listen, we got a signal from a planet. Could you stop off there after, piloting a city-sized ship filled with cargo? Sure, no big deal. Right? Yeah, yeah. Plot point, and listen, this I've heard this term used in movie making, because I love watching like the making of movies and that process. There's a YouTube channel called Film Courage. It's all about bringing your idea, your script, and being a director and a movie industry. But one of the things that a lot of writers will say in Hollywood is your audience will give you one ask. You can ask one thing of your audience, like something unreasonable, and you get one chance to ask that. You can't ask five, but you can ask one. And essentially, it's like it's going to Mike's plot point uh, comment, and that is, maybe in this world, despite all the high technology, there's medieval ranking. There's dukes and barons and stuff. Now, you know, people looking at it are going, dukes and barons and knights in space? That's odd. But maybe you just get one ask. And with technological limitations, it could be, you know what? Power batteries just don't operate that long. So if you've got like a laser cannon or a starship or something, they kind of go out pretty quickly. One, two, three shots, you're done. Hit the accelerator to accelerate from the moon down to the planet, you're done. And that might just be the ask. Now you could if you squint, you go, that doesn't quite make sense. But you get one ask, right? Because if everything else pretty much flows into a manner like, oh, the rest of your sci-fi world works this way. Oh, okay, I get it. Like it's the guild navigator problem, right? Maybe there's only one alien race that designs all the starships and programs them, or there's only one weapons manufacturer, and you go, one? Seriously? And then well, all right, okay. There's only one guild. The guild navigators pilot all the ships around the stars. Okay, fine. I'll give you the one. Mike says, consider the aftermath of the droid rebellion. Militarized droids were outlawed. I believe the IG series were able to escape simply because they were programmed to hunt and hide. That, and they can download their consciousness into a mainframe and send it to copies of themselves. Yep. Droid Rebellion. And in a galactic sense, that was a very short period of time, right? So, yeah, at one point, everybody had droids. At another point, they were like, keep your droids outside. I don't care who they are or what they are. You know? So yeah, and kind of a weird thing in Star Wars, droids aren't quite considered sentient, but they are. It's they because they never mention it really deeply in Star Wars, but there's this like fine line where they're they're both sentient but not, and different people look at them differently. From property to second class citizens, kind of cool. Zamar says in Children of Time by Tchaikovsky, the limitation of technology is the fact that all technology is ants. The ants are simple creatures that use a complex series of pheromones. Okay. You control the pheromones to control the ants to do what you want alongside chemical reaction, but the wrong pheromones can cause it to attack itself. I didn't know that. Children of Time. You know, it there could be built-in limitations specifically to make sure a specific technology doesn't further get out of control, like nanotech, right? So today we throw around the term nanotech with a lot of different things, and it can be a little difficult to insert nanotech inside of science fiction gaming because on one hand, it would be cool if 9 pints of my blood were replaced with nanotech because I'm a badass. The bad part is, all right, PCs, you're attacked by a nanotech swarm. A nanotech swarm you can't see or brush off or dodge, but it can disassemble your body. Roll di- Oh wait, you can't roll dice to do anything against it, right? So but it's possible that, like nanotechnology, what are they called? Von Neumann machines, maybe they're outlawed. Or if they receive a particular pulse of radiation or sound or radio frequency, that these items could be shut down very easily. So it could be a very dangerous or previously dangerous technology that everyone has the access to shut down quickly because of its danger. Much like maybe in space, micronuclear reactors are a thing that can very easily be shunted, disabled. Maybe there are safety devices that any old blue collar individual in a jumpsuit can go press a button and it, I don't know, implodes on itself or has concrete poured on top of it, or so I don't know what the case might be. But maybe it's a very much like hitting the eject button or fire extinguisher or an alarm or something. It could be, you know, technology that your average citizen is like, they're firing weapons in here. Presses button, EMP field goes off, whip, 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 everything shuts down, and player characters are like, damn it, we're gonna have to do this the old way, right? Mike Gould says, well, Star Wars, Dune, and Battletech have dukes and barons and stuff. Yep, they sure do. In a high tech setting. Battletech did it to prove that no matter how advanced we become, we revert to old ways. And listen, you could make, I think you could make the argument either end, right? Like, why would we ever go back to feudalism? And then other people would go, well, feudalism kind of already still exists, even though we don't call it that, right? But if does that mean there are that you can't get access to the highest tech weaponry unless you're a knight, or you're unable to go to a particular planetary system unless you beseech the Duke and Duchess or something like that? Sure, sure. Why the hell not? Mike goes on to say, let's accept that droids are sentient, okay? Clearly, they are self aware, express emotions, react organically to stimuli, and improve to improvise to their surroundings. Their non sentience is basically a projection of humanity's need to somehow have a servant class. Yeah, I kind of think so. I'm with you on that one because it bothers me. Listen, I know C3PO is comedy relief. I get it, but it bothers me that people disrespect C3PO to the point of like, just shut him off. So what, he got blasted, whatever. He's just a piece of junk. And I'm just like, you do realize he's like real? Just because he's annoying doesn't mean you should just be like, disregard C3PO as a useless piece of shit, right? Because even people that are like that, you don't go around like, stick this person in a closet. Who cares? Mike Gould says, I like the idea of things like nanotech, psionics, micro wormholes, etc., being the magic of a sci-fi setting. Which, listen, um, uh, this has been mentioned more than a little bit, even recently in one of the posts where, uh, you know, a sufficiently. I'm not going to go through the quote, but a sufficiently advanced technology, society, fill in the blanks, is indistinguishable from magic if we don't understand it. But even so, even bringing it down to our level, we still use technologies that we don't fully understand. That has a we we benefit from one aspect of technology, like maybe 10%, and the other 90% might be something that we have zero idea of how it reacts. Like, if we ever learn to make wormholes, we're going to start sending crap through wormholes, right? But do we really know what's on the other end? Or do we know what's around the corona of a black hole? We have science to help us, sort of, kind of. But so in the future, sure, maybe. How many times have we seen like a plot where humanity gets a signal from an alien species to help us design a starship and an engine that can go faster than light? Humans built said starship and go out into space. I mean, did we spend 5,000 years analyzing every aspect? No. We were just like, oh, we get to build a ship, right? And then all the other effects of that, like maybe the alien race is like, oh, we want to embrace you in the galactic uh, the galactic community, but we also want to have a little back door where we can just press a button and shut it down, right? I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah. It's a very, very big possibility. And yes, having a technology that has a magic component to it, like maybe it turns your brain into mush, or it reverses time, or suddenly it disappears, or it sends you into a fourth dimensional space, or what have you. It leaves a strange, you know, radioactive residue in the background every time you travel somewhere. Yeah, hell's yes, hell's yes. Zamara says, to me, the best example of a limitation in technology will always be the user. Okay. You have three types of them. Okay. The creatives, the knowledgeable or unknowable, use as directed only, and the Luddites. I'm a kind of a Luddite. Yeah, because the creatives will go, oh, how can we modify this thing to do this other thing? Or how do we fix this broken thing by combining these two other things? I mean, I don't know how it's done, but in Star Trek, how many times have they like take the shields and the sensors, combine them together, we can go faster, right? And you're going, that doesn't exactly sound right, but we'll go with it, um but then there's the knowledgeable ones who are just like, listen, we are going to go to speed limit, we are going to go in a specific path, we're not going to deviate from the rules, we're not going to modify it, we're going to use it. It's the it, it's the we can only turn the knob up to 5%. We're going to keep it at around 4%, and that's it, right? And then there's, of course, the Luddites, which are just like, I'm not using it. I mean, I know there's transporter technology. I'm taking a drop ship. I am not getting in the transporter because I'm literally killing myself every time I transport myself. Mike's like, the death of K2SO was heartbreaking. If C3PO fell into a wood chipper, I wouldn't shed a tear, honestly. Listen, I didn't say you wanted to keep C3PO as company. I'm saying C3PO is a person. Annoying, yes. A little bit of a sycophant, yes. A worrywart, of course. But I think we need to let him have some rights. Um, mm, mm, mm. Oh, that's cool. That's fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're having private conversation, but yes, I was there. There is the retro futurism of using technology to live as an urban primitive, which is a kind of a thing in and of itself, like using technology to graft on or splice your DNA with like animals, or like in cyberpunk there's a lot of urban primitives, people that live in massive city-sized arcologies that are hundreds of stories tall, but inside they they uh they use junk technology to do things like, I don't know, they grow fish in tanks on the rooftops from the rain that falls, and they use the wiring and fiber optic cables out of the walls and make nets so they can capture birds and eat them like fried chicken or something. Like it's things like that where you have broken tech, and it's been broken apart, used as um, primitive human beings, and rarely they're able to then modify it to make it into something that actually supposed to work the way it's supposed to. Yeah, Z says human. Receive advanced tech from nowhere. Also humans. Is this a Trojan horse? Yeah, yeah, humans. That's what's the movie? Contact. Contact did that. Receive signal from alien space. Here's how you build a starship of some sort, connection device. Let's build it. Contact, pretty good movie. Mike says I used the high tech risks of jump ships as the spark behind my BattleTech short stories. Okay, a missed jump sparks the whole series as the entire crew of one jump ship simply ceases to exist, and one of the battle mechs on board a drop ship was sent to the surface of a world. Its cockpit was splattered in blood with no trace of the pilot's body. Yeah, 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 yeah. It was my way to inject horror into a sci-fi setting. That's another thing that's really, maybe that's a different story. Um, Extremely reliable technology that at a particular time in the story, usually the beginning, it doesn't work the way we thought it did. Or it would be like Starship has battle cruiser with shield travels to unknown area, sends out distress signal. PCs arrive. Battleship with shield still activated goes into ship. All crew dead. Doesn't know how something got inside of it, right? And you go, wait a minute, okay, the technology is supposed to work this way. It's expected to have this thing. It's blah blah blah, and then but something went wrong. Pilot's body got splattered on the inside. No way for something to get in. Oh, what happened? Was it a chest burster? Now today, we when Alien was brand new, we didn't think of chest bursters. Now it's kind of body horror, chest bursting is kind of a thing. It has to crawl into your nose or ears or anus or something. It has to wiggle underneath the skin in bizarre ways. But at the time, that was brand new. Hey there, Ricker. He's just like, last 15 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. Okay. So let's get into some practical elements when it comes to limitations on technology being a good thing and not a bad thing. So one of the things for player characters is when it comes to technology that has issues, limitations, whether it's energy or design or something like that, is, well, point blank, we get to roll some dice, and we get to force the PCs to roll dice to alter, fix, modify, control said device to get said thing done for said purposes, right? So we get to use all those useless skills in the game that PCs are like, I'm not going to dump my points into it. this is the perfect opportunity for them to have to use them. And then what we can do is we can set up situations where, well, maybe the players have to work together. Like the proverbial, I'll be up in the bridge, you go down in engineering, and oh, you get the weapons, and you get the sensors, and you get the communications, and we all have to do a thing together to do a thing. Timing is always a great aspect of limitations on technology. Again, piloting with jump ships. Hey, we have to travel in a specific speed and time and place to get a thing done. And if we can't, problems happen, right? How many times in Star Wars has the hyperdrive not worked? It's kind of, is it a little too convenient? Of course, but also it's a limitation. You we already were We've already been trained to understand the Millennium Falcon's, hyperdrive system is going to fail at least once before they get it working again. So what happens? One person has to maneuver through combat, another person has to try to fix a thing, maybe somebody else has to hit the person playing the droid has to do that astro navigation, blah blah blah, right? Mike's Mike says the result of that missed jump was that the former pilot of the battle mech haunted that battle mech. Ooh, haunted. Ooh. She was cursed to live in technology. When the mech warrior that was assigned to that mech was grievously wounded, he required cybernetic limb replacements. That ghost then haunted his metal limbs. I like that. I like that kind of stuff. Um, I really like that. Phantom limb. Hey there, Ian. Glad to have you. And you can, of course, participate as you wish. Zamara says a tech that has limits is easier to build around, and the perfect limit is the one that you don't notice until it's right in your face. Hey, yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because you're like, hey, the hyperdrive, hey, yeah, because listen, we're all on the same page, right? So, like you said, building around that limitation, especially if you start out with the limitation and then build out from around it, we all go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, or like for example, I'll pick because we're on this point. A lightsaber might require a specific skill level to use. We all know that already up front. Does it make sense? It doesn't have to. It already exists in the world, right? So, let's get into transhumanism. In transhumanism, you have issues where, like in Altered Carbon, our main character gets downloaded into another body, and our main character, we've seen at least three bodies that Takashi, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, uh, uh, inhabits in that series, right? Black guy, white guy, Asian guy sounds like a joke, right? A really bad joke. But we see that. And what happens? He wakes up and his mind is, well, body dysmorphia, but even though I'm a badass, combat fighter or something, we already know the limitation of it. Whether it's in cyberpunk, we have black mark characters run around in the streets in the black market and dark alleys. Does that mean that maybe there might be something wrong with your cyber tech, or you're being traced and all this kind of stuff? Of course. Are there hackers that in this particular story just so happen to be tracing you, even though you've had this piece of cyber tech for 5 months or something? Of course, that might be an issue, because we've already set into our sci-fi world that instant communication isn't possible, or that computer systems have been corrupted so badly that you have to make to research someone's background, it takes a lot of die rolls, because there's no one specific internet. It's all broken up into pieces and whatnot. We always have that. And listen, limitations shouldn't be a fold arms pout. This is stupid PC kind of thing, right? Limitations are challenges. It's a create the problem. PCs figure out solutions, right? We don't need to come up with the way to get bypass the thing. All we need to do is set up the problem. Hey guys, listen. communications are just terrible. So you want to call down an orbital strike, or you want to contact make one of your connections, who instantly gets online to instantly get you into the building, to instantly get you to download those files. It's not going to happen, right? It's the it's the um, making sure that upfront in this setting or this world, or not even just in this world, where the PCs are at this very moment, that's the issue. So in your sci-fi world and you're on Mars or something, and there's been a series of rebellions that the working class has been rioting against the upper decatante or something like that. And so now there's more security patrols, so it's harder for the PCs to navigate around. Well, guess what? You've already preloaded the oh, there's more security here. Okay. Oh, they're doing constant sweeps. Oh, we can't use our tight beam communications because they might hear what we're saying. Oh, okay. Oh, that's why. You know, like I said, limitations can be just simple circumstance, or it might be even a problem in this newfangled technological world. Zamara says, have the hyperdrive clink every time it is used. Lean in that description at least 3 times. Yep. And then on the 4th time, don't mention it. Then when the players try to go to hyperspace, nothing. Yeah. Yeah, you could foreshadow a lot of that stuff right up front. Right up front. Like, yeah, PCs, you get ready to go to you hear a strange noise as you launch into hyperspace and arrive in the new star system. PCs go, what's that about? Oh, it's nothing. You do a diagnostic and you don't really find anything. Oh, okay. We get in the starship again. We leave. Great. You get in a ship. You hear a grinding noise, and you arrive in your next destination. A grinding noise? Yeah. You smell a little burning, but there's nothing wrong, right? Yeah. Let's see. All tech comes with built-in limits. Have a new cyber deck to hack the matrix? Okay. Of course, the company that designed that deck knows the signature of the CPU, right? Yeah, you know what? The best parts of technology are the worst parts that PCs never think about. And the fact is that most technology requires at least one other interaction with another entity to use it. So instead of a wizard, because we were talking about magic earlier in the week, right? I'm a wizard. I do my thing with my hands and I pull out a spell component. I say some words, bang, fireball, right? PC goes, I pull out device, throw object, fireball, right? It's like, well, where'd you get that from? And who made it? And how do you know that they haven't traced it, or that it leaves a signature, or you know what I mean? Like um, um, transhumanist altered carbon eclipse phase. I'm going to download my brain and beam to someplace else and get in my biomorph with heightened reflexes and neural inhibitors and all that kind of stuff. Sure, who knows you just did what you just did? You had to arrive in a medical facility of some sort. Your brain had to be downloaded. There's all kinds of shenanigans people could be having with your body and mind while you're doing that. Now, normally we hand wave that away, right? We want to have the adventure. So you just arrive on Mars or a moon off of Saturn or out in the Oort cloud or something like that. But there's a lot of stories you can tell with the people who had possession of the technology long before you did. Mike Gould says, the guy who programmed this invasive programs wrote a backdoor too, right? Yep, just wait. Literally just waiting for you to do the thing, that person is like sleep, and they put out all these custom made decks, and then all of a sudden a beeper goes off and they go, what's that? Ooh, they downloaded something from a corporation. They press one button. I'm going to download the files they just stole. Yeah. Ian, hey there, kind person. The limitation idea also could be a strength with BG Battlestar Galactica. The ship was purposefully downgraded to not have any computer, so Cylons couldn't hack it. Yeah, Battlestar. Yep. Turns out that low tech decision saved it. Sure did. Sure did. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why the Galactica was the ship of the series, right? Because it was like it was basically a test run, mothballed throwback starship at a time. And of course in the series, to show that, remember they had they had the classic phones with the spiral cords and the funky the funky voice modulated communications kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly why that was. Yep, exactly. And you know, because listen, computer technology has advanced so fast that even the smartest sci-fi writers couldn't keep up with the ubiquity of the technology we have today. Like in classic cyberpunk, we never thought about, you know, a cell phone having the capability of an instant audio visual downloadable, you know, GPS tracking device being in the pockets of everybody. We were just like, we have to have a deck and we have to, you know, literally plug it in our brain or plug it into the computer, then plug that into a wall. Isn't everything wireless? Well, we're going to have to make a reason why it can't be wireless. And that's one of the things. Yeah, Mike Gould says that smart gun adapter you put on your machine pistol has a chip that, as technology can override. You knew that, right? Yep. Yep. Every time you did it. Hell, today we have what are essentially black boxes in a lot of things, automobiles, airplanes, that kind of stuff. What is it? The All Teslas have that. All Tesla driving information is saved and analyzed. Now, most people don't pretty much don't care. And you know, is Tesla going around giving people speeding tickets? No. What they want to do is make their product better. They want to learn about like self-driving and all that kind of stuff. Of course technology would be, you know, some black marketer sells you their weaponry because they want to know how their weapons are being used for, you know, to sell to the next criminals, right? Why not? Mike says, if we in this time can trace the origin of an explosive device by finding part of a serial number on a part, high-tech settings would have even better methods. Here in Columbus, Ohio, and a lot of other places, we have or used to have a shot tracker system where when a gunshot is fired, they can triangulate the origin of where that shotgun fire happened. And that's today. That's today. You have an open gun battle in the future. Oh, everybody's going to know where that's at, right? So yeah, not exactly. Funny how technology today has like basically moved things so far forward. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Mike. Mm-mm-mm. Second World War, Germany was developing a stealth jet called the Horten 228. In a world of metal aircraft, this jet had a wooden skin to get by the new tech of radar. The Allies had the Mosquito, a twin engine craft with a wooden fuselage. Sometimes the best war forward is to look back tech wise. Yes, as a matter of fact, how cool would it be to drop your battle armored, you know, cybered out, you mechanized warrior PCs on a planet and go, guess what? Everything you have is a downfall for you to proceed forward. You're going to have to go old school. You're going to have to go camo paint. You're going to have to go knife in teeth, swimming, climbing, jumping. You know, to you know, I don't know, the classic shut down the energy source so that your allies can do a thing. How many force fields have been shut down by putting the explosive device on the object, right? Plenty, you know, the destroy the MacGuffin to take away the limitation. Great fetch quest, great MacGuffin story, and it's used because how cool is it, right? Run, jump, move, like targeting systems can be that way. You send soldiers onto the field to paint a target, which means they have to go through all the rigmarole of physically getting there to then activate a device or perform a function to let a larger, bigger, more effective unit do a thing. So, yeah, yeah. Mm-mm. Skip the comment there. There we go. Hey there. Yeah. Z's like, oh my God, after 3 sessions of using a gun, you suddenly receive package containing a new gun and a thank you message for troubleshooting bugs in the last one. I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? Imagine a player gets that and you write zero story after that. You don't bring it up again. You don't the PC is like, what the hell does this mean? They would be completely paranoid off of a gift. Hilarious. Hey, hey, send back your old weapon in the self-addressed stamped envelope. Ian's like, every gun has an over-the-air firmware update. Yep. You get ready to fire it, and it's like, doo, 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 and it does it does a Windows update on you. You're like, fuck, not again. Restarting. Damn it! Stop rebooting. Damn. My railgun. No. It popped another virus. Man, yeah. Michael says self driving cars is just an excuse to remove yourself from the process. I approve of self driving buses and trains, but having a gridlock of competing computer driven cars with any series of software issues isn't my best. Isn't my best day ever. Yeah. Could you imagine that? They're like, we we think in the future every car will be on one network. Could you imagine like 30 different competing networks that are like, our app is better. No, our app is better. And the cars start competing with each, like there's a bunch of driverless cars with people like screaming on the inside because every other person's app system is trying to do the better thing. That's hilarious. Game of paranoia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're orange level. Oh shit. Consider Predator. The high-tech visual sensors were defeated by wet mud. Yeah, you know what? It even today there are very common base level things that interfere greatly with very high-tech items. Like, okay, wet phone. What do we do? What do we do? Come on. What do we do? Rice. You know what I mean? It's are there what's it called, a desiccation material? A material that absorbs moisture. We have those chemical materials, but what do? Rice. You know what I mean? It's right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, yeah, that would be hilarious in Cyberpunk. You get ready to fire your gun and it gets an update. Somebody gets a package in the mail. PCs are like, we want to hire you. I mean, Mr. Johnson comes to the players and is like, we want to hire you. PCs are like, who do you want us to kill? Who do you want us to kidnap? What files do you want us to steal? And they're like, no, we just want you for an ad campaign for our new weapons. And you've used them real time. And we just want to interview you for your experiences. How many headshots? What's the recoil like? I mean, when you loaded and unloaded your gun on those Arasaka agents, I mean, did it feel good in your hands? We'd like to know. We'd like to do a little thing with you. Oh man, Dead Man says, uh, Borderlands 3 has a system mail where after every 20 kills with a weapon manufactured by one manufacturer gets you a gift of a new gun. Buy one get one free. Oh shit. Yeah. Mike says, there's no way in a world with competing cell phone companies that self-driving cars are on the same network. Yeah, yeah. The last thing you need is a software conflict between a Telus car and a Google car. Oh, shit. My car's not getting a signal anymore. Yeah. The bane, yes. Z points out a good point. The bane of wireless technology, walls. Yep. Basements and parking garages, anybody? A bunch of empty parking garages because all the cars stop at the entrance because they can't get signals. It's just gridlock at the bottom. You got these 20-story parking garages all empty because all the cars are gridlocked because they keep trying to move forward and get. It's like I'm getting a bad signal. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh shit. Yep. Tunnels. Yeah, with one downloading a software update and the other drove through a stone tunnel. Yeah, yeah. Rickard says, but would you use rice if the artificial material was cheaper than rice? It depends. It depends, right? Sometimes is price everything, or is um sometimes we use technology because we are comfortable with it rather than it being better or more useful. It is, we human beings tend to do it's the what's the book called? Don't Move My Cheese. It's the mousetrap with the cheese on it, but then there's a table with a larger chunk of cheese at the top, and the one mouse is pointing at the other mouse, going, "Why don't we just climb up the table and get the big cheese?" And the mouse is looking at the mousetrap, like, "Wait a minute, right?" Yeah, yeah. Price and availability. Yep. The word is the I didn't remember. The word is desiccant. Is that it? Is a desiccant that absorbs moisture out of the air? I believe that's it. Yeah, right. Like Rickard says, price and availability. Now, mind you, in the far future, in space, we would you probably send an artificial material, but rice is a food and has a double purpose, right? You know what I mean? There's some people might go, wouldn't it just be better to grow rice so that we could eat it and put our cell phones in it? Our weapons that keep getting wet, Vietnam, wet weapons, that kind of thing. AK-47, the better weapon for reliability. Mike Gould says, quote, Aries Tech would like to thank you for your purchase of the model F225. Please note your free gift of our new gyro jet pistol ammunition. Your feedback is appreciated. Do you have 5 minutes to fill complete a survey? No, I'm in a firefight. That is please answer. Very satisfied, somewhat satisfied. I'm in a firefight. I'm sorry, I did not understand your answer. Were you completely satisfied? Somewhat satisfied? Oh, shit. Yeah. Rickard's like, MacGyver wouldn't need to MacGyver solutions if the thing he is MacGyvering together was available to him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And good to see. Good to have you here there, Rickard. It's been a little while. Good to be. Guys, got to get out of here, but it has some fun. But yeah, listen, Brandon, I'm gonna bring it up again. Brandon Sanderson's lecture on magic systems and the limitations of magic. It's more your the word magic being a stand-in, like the word mutant, for a number of other things. Your magic system, your tech system, whatever it is really only as interesting as the limitations it has. So your, I don't know, sonic rifles that don't work in a vacuum is interesting because, but does double damage in a aquatic or thick atmosphere is more interesting because of the limitation it has. Oh shit, I've got this sonic pistol, but if I'm in a vacuum, it doesn't work. But if I put it up against the helmet of my enemy, I could blow his brains out. You know what I mean? Like, and your brain starts going like, well, why can't it work? But maybe it could work, but then it can't. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, thanks, Z. Yeah, it says, well, we are reaching the end. Good morning, everyone. And remembering, at least we aren't doing this via snail mail or mind meld. Thanks, considering that I'm a mailman. Thanks, Z. Fold arms, pout. Michael says, ride eternal, shiny, and download available. Please restart. Do, 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 do. Gun just shuts down and begins rebooting itself. You're like, oh, that would be hilarious. For some reason, I feel like someone has to do that. Someone has to visually in like a TV show or like a movie or something, like just do that. I swear, I swear. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, let's just embrace the limitations, their challenges, their cool things that player characters can navigate around to get a thing done. It's also a great way to hand over uh, hand over the scissors and knives to the children that are your player characters because you know they're going to screw it up. Oh shit. The price of buying battle armor on Wish. Listen, if Wish doesn't stop selling $5 motorcycles and $5 private jets, it's like really. Yeah. Dead Man says they did that in Airplane 2. Did they? In Airplane 2? How do you remember that movie? I remember the first Airplane, which is ridiculously hilarious, even though it would never get airplay today. I mean, never be made today. But yeah, yeah. I don't remember Airplane 2. Oh man. Anyway, guys, got to get out of here. Got to head off to work. But you, all of you out there in the greater sphere, um, do me a favor. Call to action, guys. Like, share, subscribe, spread the word. I normally don't ask about that. What was Airplane 2 a space shuttle? I don't remember that movie. I don't remember it. I'll have to look it up. All right, guys. Have a great one. I will have to see the. Oh, Zamora. Oh man, thanks Z. I see you in the Discord. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, spread the word of the channel. Oh. I'm gonna put the link in. Shit. Okay, here we go. Let me. Sorry, I'm gonna give you a link to something that is a that is a um, this sneak peek is a possible Kickstarter. And if you take a look at this, this is the digital information of the entire series, okay, of the of advanced 5th edition called Level Up from ENWorld. It's awesome. It's very awesome. And I can't wait for the Kickstarter. I think the Kickstarter has like over 4,000 people now, and it hasn't quite started yet. It's going to start in about 2.5, 3 weeks from now. But anyway, and I'm promoting it because I had a small part in writing it. I got paid for it and everything. I can't wait. I can't wait. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see thee later. Peace.